In this dissected analysis, discover the complexities and inconsistencies affecting Jamaican legislative processes.
Any parliamentarian can, Don, only members of parliament, yes. Any parliamentarian, Senate, House, they can submit, I call it a proposal or a bill. They can submit it to be considered. But here's how it really works. It's primarily the government of the day that will submit a bill to be considered. It's primarily the government. What they have is, if you're not a minister, listen to me carefully now, if you're not a minister, so you could still be a JLP member and you won't be able to submit a regular bill. You'll have to submit what is called a private member's bill, which is different from the regular bill being submitted by a minister. So keep that in mind. A minister can submit a regular bill. If you're not a minister, then they consider it a private member's bill. No, that proposal, I call it a proposal. It goes to, when a minister is submitting it, it goes to the Attorney General. So the Attorney General, you'd have an idea, right? Or the government would say to the Attorney General, we need a bill regarding whatever. We need a bill that we want to pass into law. Because remember, the Attorney General is the government's attorney. So the Attorney General would draft that bill. And the purpose of that is to ensure that, most importantly, it conforms to the Constitution, that is constitutionally sufficient. And then it's sent on to Parliament. That's if it's submitted by a minister. If it's submitted by somebody who's not a minister, a backbencher, for example, it goes to Parliament. It doesn't go through to the Attorney General. In general, it doesn't go to the Attorney General. It goes straight into Parliament. And then they have 3 readings of the bill. You know, the first time they talk about the bill, they just mention the name and something like that. And then they come back and then they have a discussion and all that stuff. But you don't need to know that. All you need to know is that the government will send its bill through the Attorney General's office, and then it comes to Parliament. Anybody who's not a minister, they'll send it to the Parliament. It won't go through the Attorney General. In most cases, bills coming into Parliament, they're coming on behalf of the government. The government is actually putting that bill through. So once it's approved by both houses, then it goes to the Governor General. Once the bill is approved, it's not law. It's just an approved bill. It goes to the Governor General for his signature, his assent, his concurrence with it. And I can tell you that the Governor General, even though he's being paid handsomely and he has a staff to look over these things, they're not looking over it. They're not looking over it because I find so many mistakes in some of them. And some of them, they themselves discover the mistakes, but they discover the mistakes like years later. Then once the Governor General signs off on it, now you have a law. But here's the thing. Is that law an effective law? The Governor General signs off on it today. Does it mean that it takes effect today? Does it mean that like in the case of a law enforcement bill, does it mean that they can start enforcing the law today once he signs off on it? No. Because there's another step after the Governor General has signed off, and that is this. A minister must put the effective date on the law. Must put, and it's in the Gazette, they put an effective date on the law. Because I'm going to show you today a law that was signed off in 2015. Stay with me. 2015. And that law did not take effect until 2019. It was signed off by the Governor General. The Parliament did its bit. They approved it. They sent it off to the Governor General. He signed off on it. And that law did not take effect until 2019. So what happened between 2015? And here's where it gets interesting. The law in 2015 was getting rid of a law that was written in 2008. So they had a law in 2008. In 2015, they passed a law saying, we're trying to get rid of this law in 2015. In 2018, they amended the 2015 law, even though it was not effect. It was not in effect. They passed amendments in 2018 to a law that was passed in 2015, a law that was not in effect. And so what happened in 2019, the 2015 law and the 2018 amendments to the 2015 law took effect in 2019. And so you might ask, what could I go so? Let me show you a chart just to make it easy. This is just me draft this so that just to make it easy. It's just an overview. So you see the government, I call it a proposal. They would send it to the attorney. Look on the left side. They'll send it to the Attorney General and the Attorney General would then draft the bill. On the right side, if you're not a government minister, this is what you would have to do. Like the opposition, for example. The opposition can send a bill, but this is what they call it a private members bill. And it would have to be submitted to them. Now, that bill doesn't necessarily go to the Attorney General. It goes to Parliament. But keep in mind that the Attorney General, he can shepherd that thing. He can, his role is not completely finished. He can exert oversight over the amendments, over everything that's going on with this bill in Parliament. So even though he has drafted the bill, he has the right that he can still say, I'm going to pay particular oversight, because remember, no, you want to make sure that the law is in compliance with the Constitution. You want to make sure of that, right? So after that has happened, then here's Parliament. It's approved by both houses, the Senate and the House of Representatives. Then it goes to the Governor General for his assent. So then it goes from a bill, from an approved bill, to now it's law. But here is the key: the effective date of that law must be issued by the minister. So that's why you could have a law. That's why you have the law that was passed in 2015, didn't take effect until 2018. Now, if you understand, I'm just gonna let this stay up for like about a minute or so, just to see if anybody hasn't, anybody with a question before I move to what Kevin name gone. Oh, hold on there. Kevin Digoff left me because I'm supposed to give me another charge.
Which minister making it effective?
It would be, my understanding is, and I could be wrong, that it would be the minister whose portfolio that the bill would come under. So for example, if it's something to do with law enforcement, then it would be Minister Chang would then put the effective date, saying that, okay, you passed this law, but I'm gonna give it an effective date of 6 months from now, 3 months from now, a month from now, right? And then to make it even more interesting, you have some laws that if you start to do certain things before you pass a law, right? Like let's say you could ride a bicycle, but then they pass a law that says going forward you can't ride a bicycle. They have some laws where it will say that if you were riding they call it a grandfather clause. If you were riding a bicycle before we pass the law banning bicycles, then you can continue riding it. But no new bicycle riders, right? So what if there's no GG to the last signing? No, if there's no GG SSB, then that's it. If there's no GG, because the law requires the GG. Every bill that comes out of the Parliament, in order for it to be considered law, must be signed by the Governor General. Every single one of them. And in fact, when we get Kevin there, Kevin Dig up left me. Hold on. Let me remove this. Any questions regarding this? Elaine is saying, are you saying that they were using an outdated law? In the case where I'm going to show you where they have a 2008 law that was in effect until 2019, even though you have a 2015 law and you have a 2018 law, say essentially saying that, okay, we're finished with the 2008. Yeah. Also, the people, some of these folks in Jamaica that are responsible for these things, they don't know what they're doing. Because, for example, they told Zara something the other day, and I went and I checked and I found out that they're completely wrong. It's plain as day. The answer is plain as day, and as producer Joan would say, they're winging it. Them are wing it. Somebody ask a question, them just give an answer, and that's it. And because people are not reading, people are not listening, people are not analyzing, and people are not reading. So them tell you something and you just say it's gospel because them supposed to know. But don't take people's word for it. Go and do your own research. Go and look at it yourself. Now let me move this and see if I can illustrate the point. Hold on 1 second. I don't see it here. I see the bill to chart, procurement regulations. Okay, procurement chart. Is this it? Hold on. Let me see. Here we go. All right. Now everything I just told you, I'm going to illustrate it for you, right? All right, here we go. Now you see that? And I want you to spend some time just to understand this. Please, I know some of you might be turned off by it, but this is so important because when you start talking about procurement, this is the procurement regulations that we're going to talk about. When the government start give out contracts to people, fix roads now, and to fix houses, and to fix pipes, and to run make sure electricity work and all of that. Some of you going to come back and later on and say you never know, so it go. And here it is. I'm trying to explain to you so that you can ask the right questions. No, not 5 years from now when the money gone, right? So just for phone said that can a law be passed today with an effective date of 50 years from now? Technically speaking, a minister could, but realistically it wouldn't. But technically somebody could say, yeah, I'm not gonna make it. No, but it would come under some scrutiny as to why is it that the law passed and you're going to wait 50 years from now? It makes no sense. But if somebody, what they do is this: they don't give a date. The minister doesn't give a date, so it will sit on the minister's desk saying that the governor general has signed it, but it's just sitting there on his date. Before I put this up, let me show you exactly. Let me show you something what I'm talking about. Hold on a second. Let me see. Public procurement 2008, 2015. All right, here we go. Let me show you. This is what I'm talking. This is what it looks like. See that where it says I assent right here? That's the governor general. This is when it's passed in parliament and now they send it to him, right? And see it right there, governor general Patrick Allen, 5th day of October. Look carefully at this language now, my people. Look carefully. Look carefully. So let's go back up top. It says, I assent. Who's assenting? Meaning, I'm signing off on this thing. Essentially, that's what it says. Who's signing off? Patrick Allen, Governor General, right? Look here. He signed off on this 5th day of October 2015. Look at what it says. Act to consolidate and modernize the law relating to the public procurement of goods, works, and services, and for related matters. Look what is right below that. Put it up so you can see it. You see what's right below that? Bring this down a little bit. Oh, sorry. All right. You see, let me show you. It's easier if I do it this way. The important language here is this. It's right here. See this? The date notified by the minister bringing the act into operation. That is the important language. Not this. This is important too, you know. This up here, that the Governor General signed off on it on October 5th. 2015, but it will not come into operation until the minister gives a date. You see what it says? The date notified by the minister bringing the act into operation. So what will bring a law into operation is not the governor general's final assent. What will bring it into operation is the minister saying, now that you have signed off on it, Mr. Governor General, you have signed off on what the parliament approved. Now it's up to me to tell all of Jamaica when we are going to implement this law. That's it. No, let me move this now and go back and show you, give you the example of it. Hold on. How do I do with it? Bear with me, people. All right, here we go. All right. Now, the law, everything I just talked to you about how the law is passed and how it's possible that you can have a law that is not signed off by that is not given an effective date by the minister. So you can have a law that's sitting on his desk that passed parliament, signed off by the governor general, but still no effective date. I'm going to walk you through this particular law and you'll see what I'm talking about. Now, there's something called the Contractor General Act. And as you can see, it took effect, meaning that a minister signed off on it and saying it's going to take effect on October 7, 1983. And even though it took effect on 1983, look how slack Jamaica is. The Contractor General wasn't appointed until November 1986. So 3 years, the law is in effect before them put somebody in the position permanent. Oh, Florida Rose, the token, you can't vote yet. You can't vote yet. You can't vote until November 20th is when they open up so that you can vote. For now, all you can do is you can just register, and you have registered. So just hold on to that thing for me, to your token, because they haven't decided who the candidates are yet. Once they've decided, they'll put that list out, and then you can go in and vote on and after November 20th. So just bear with them. So here's the Contractor General Act. And you see what happened, people? 3 years after them passed the law, before them put somebody in the position. No, from the Contractor General's Act, they passed this thing called the Public Procurement Regulations in 2008. And the minister signed off on it, and it took effect on December 12, 2008. Public Procurement Regulations. Right? Then they come with this Integrity Commission Act in 2017. It didn't take effect until 2018. February, forget this thing right there, so this enclosure. February 22nd, 2018, right? So now what Integrity Commission would have us believe, and I can prove that they're wrong, is that this law, this public procurement law right here, this one right here, public procurement regulations of 2008, that this law, this one right here, the Public Procurement Act of 2015, got rid of it, right? Actually, they were saying that their law, the 2017 law, got rid of it. But be that as it may, they passed this law in 2015. Then they amended this law. Look, follow me carefully now, you know. What they're trying to do, you know, they're trying to get rid of this law. This is a law they're trying to get rid of. This 2008 law. They're trying to get rid of it. So the Integrity Commission is trying to claim that, well, we got rid of it in 2018. And I'll show you something where they actually said they got rid of it in 2018. It's a damn lie. It's a lie. They didn't. So, but this Public Procurement Act was supposed to get rid of it, 2015. Then this same law, this 2015 law, they amended it in 2018. But look to your left. Both of them didn't take effect until April 1st, 2019. So this law that they're trying to get rid of, 2008, the laws that they're claiming to get rid of it didn't take place until 2019. So from 2008, this law that they're trying to get rid of was there in 2017, was there in 2015, was there in 2018, and didn't take effect. Wasn't and actually, yeah, it wasn't repudiated until 2019. They didn't get rid of it until April 2019, right? And now I'm going to show you. Everybody with me so far, tell me what if there's an area you don't understand, because now I'm going to show you the law. And the reason why I'm going to show you the law, I'm going to show you how Minister Tufton, Miss McDonough, the permanent secretary, I'm going to show you how the Integrity Commission let them go. I'm going to show you, and I defy them to tell me that I'm wrong. Please tell me if you don't understand what's going on here. Just tell me. I know it's late in the what time? Yes, late evening, and I know. Hold on one second. So the Integrity Commission, I'm going to show you something now. Let me take this off. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Or if you don't want to ask me now and you want to ask me later, that's fine. I'm available. All right. Yes, Elaine, they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar. Let me remove this and let me go back now and show you the thing. All right. This is a contractor general. This is what it looks like. This is a contractor general. You know why this is so important, people? Remember now, Minister Miss McDonough and Market Me, they got their first contract in 2017. All right. They got their first contract January 2017. So what we're looking at now, we're looking at which one of the laws will govern these contracts. Which one? Because they have different penalties. So which one, right? This is a law that was passed to overlook government contracts and make sure there's no conflict of interest and all of this stuff. This is it, 2008. And all the procurement laws were passed under this Act, 2008. Let me remove that. Let me get to the second one. Remember, that was the Contractor General Act. No, here's another one. This is the Contractor General Act, right? But look below it, the Public Sector Procurement Regulations. This first one I showed you was the Contractor General Act. And then they passed this one under the Contractor General Act. And this one tells you everything you need to know about contracts, government contracts, and bidding and all of that stuff. So this is the one that they wanted to get rid of, the Public Sector Procurement Regulation 2008. And here is how, I remember I just showed you this one. This one now is the 2015 one, right? This is the 2015 one that the minister didn't put a date on it. And if you look right here, you see what it says right here? See it right there? This act may be cited as the Public Procurement Act 2015 and shall come into operation on a date to be appointed by the minister by notice published in the Gazette. It's as clear as day that it's an act, that is no law, but it won't come into operation until the minister says, okay, this is the date that is going to become law. And so they have the 2015 one. And now let me move and show you the 2018 one. Here it is. It's Patrick Allen sign again. I assent. 28th of August 2018. I see right here the date notified by the minister bringing the act into operation. This 2018 law did not take effect until April 1st, 2019. And like I said to you, so the one I just showed you, the 2015, this that I'm showing you now is an amendment. It's a change to the 2015 one. And both of them became effective in 2019. So the 2015 one did not become effective until this became effective. And they took both of them and said, okay, the law and the amendment will become effective April 1st, 2019. April 1st, 2019. And there's something I want to show you. I don't know if it's on this at the end. Hold on. I want to show you something. Okay. I want to show you something. Section 67. Look here, people. Look right here. Let me show it to you. Bam, 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 bam. Follow me. Follow me, my people. Follow me. You can't go wrong if you follow me. See this right here? Look, the public sector procurement regulations of 2008 are revoked. The 2018 amendment is saying the 2008 law revoked now. But right now, because this was signed in 2018, but it became effective in 2019. So what happened? The 2008 law, when this was signed, it was still in effect, and it was still in effect until 2019, when this was given effect. And look at this. I'll show you all them people are fool. Look at this when the Governor General signed it. The 28th of August, right on that. I remember that date, that date, the 28th of August 20th, 2018, right? That's when the Governor General signed it. It did not become effective. The law did not take effect. The law and the amendments, the corrections to it, did not take effect until April 1st, 2019. No, but we go to the Integrity Commission and see what them say. Let me see if it's inside or so. Integrity Commission. What Kevin there? Okay, here it is. All right. Let me show you something. Give me 1 second. I'm going to show you something here. For show you so them people are them that have no, and it make a difference which law you're going to use. Right? Deal with me. Deal with me, people. Deal with hold on there. Hold on. Which page it upon again? So this disposal thing at all. To have so much information in this thing here. Kevin, where you there, man? Oh, you there? Oh, me I try to find the date on this thing here.
One date.
Yeah, the day when them said the thing, when them said the thing was overruled.
Wasn't that on the last?
Yeah, I think me have to try that song. Hold on. Go ahead, me I listen to you.
Yeah, wasn't it on the last Procurement Act?
No, they mention it twice. I remember they mentioned it twice in this report. They mentioned it, but it's because this thing my what you call it, my most no behave right. It'll take me a while to find it, but I remember there are two instances where they mentioned that the law was overruled on a certain date, and them completely wrong.
Oh, where they mentioned it.
They mentioned it, yeah. Go and sing to the people them while I find this.
Oh, couple of things, things to address. Please, what? Not you. Do like and share. Those of you who are inclined to do so, please subscribe. The One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation does have a donate button on the website, like I mentioned earlier. Please specify the use of your donation if you want it to use if you're donating to the foundation, for your funds to be used as the foundation goes about its regular operations, or specify if you want it to go to hurricane relief. So that it can be allocated accordingly. If you want the foundation to purchase tablets on your behalf, you can go ahead and specify that also in your notation. So just a few things that we keep in mind when we go highlighting as we go through. And also coming up in another 45 minutes or so, the Rebel wraps up.
Oh, right. Time flying.
And so what?
Time fly. I'm still have 45 minutes left.
Yeah. And then I join you on Reggae Global Radio for the Saturday Stew. I take you up until 10 p.m. when you get the Rebel.
Yes, indeed.
I want to say, if I may, Mr. Rattigan, happy 84th birthday to none other than Jamaica's former First Lady, Beverly Anderson Mandley Duncan. She celebrated her birthday today. I want to say happy birthday to her, one of Jamaica's pioneer of a woman.
Blessed Earth Day, former First Lady.
And by the way, you have to big up Kevin, because Kevin just have female,
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's his.
Yes, you have her. And I heard that he had all the diplomats there with him, Mr. Rattigan, all those people of the Vumbi came and had a birthday party for him.
Why do I believe you?
I believe you too. I just wish I was invited. So yes, Rebel comes back at 10 p.m. for Relax with the Rebel, and he takes us up until midnight. Now, Dr. Love normally comes in at midnight. Dr. Love was seriously affected by Melissa. There was housing damage, there was flooding, there is electricity issues, and so Dr. Love won't be able to join us on the for his broadcast at midnight. But he does ask for your prayers, and as you go about taking on your donations for relief efforts, more than likely something will go his way. He is in Hanover, so the relief that is in the Hanover area, I can tell you more specifically where in Hanover he is. It is Kingsvale. Kingsvale, that's where it is. Jeffrey, you might be familiar with them places. I'm not personally, except for Dr. Love. And I think one of our listeners is familiar with that area too. So go ahead, and if you want to specify donations for Kingsvale area, I'm pretty sure that we can find some way to make sure that resources reach over there. So
With Jeffrey Gunn, we can talk about him candidacy.
yes, for those who are asking questions and making comments as it relates to the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council voting and registration, remember the website is scrolling across the bottom of your screen. Mr. Tavares, if you would come back, please. He is one of the candidates for the South Florida area. You're not jealous one bit, Elaine? What would you be jealous about? Big ups to moderator Elaine Turner. Still celebrate. I haven't played any music, Elaine. So when the throwdown comes down a little bit later on, yes, I'll play some music then. But we need to be mindful and keep in mind that there are people that are suffering badly. I said it at the beginning of the broadcast, I'll say it again. People are suffering badly, and we haven't heard about them. We've seen some devastation, and every bit of news item that speaks of damage to Jamaica. There are some video clips that I even got today. I got video clips talking about centers and shows the very same video clips, areas that are severely damaged that I've never seen this footage. So these things do exist, and there are places that are crying out for help. Some places that were damaged by the storm and now are being flooded because there's rising water from underneath there, from the water table. So these are real things, people. If you hear about anybody in any of those areas, yeah, the devastation continues, because now here's what's happening. You have standing water. When you have standing water, what happens? It's bad enough that there was the flooding, mudslides, damaging people's furniture. People have to be putting their stuff outside. People have lost lives. So there's decay that's happening already. Run the risk of mold and anything else. And some fungus and bacteria that is in the air also. So there's that is happening. Add that to mosquito-borne illnesses. You have your malaria, your dengue, your chikungunya. You have all of these things at risk. So we need to move quickly to our relief efforts. And so donations, come back to that. Specific donations to specific sites, very helpful. You found your information, Provost?
Yeah. And NSIM said, if you're here on a work permit, can you register to vote? Yes, indeed. You can vote. So just go on there.
You reside in the diaspora, yes.
Now remember, folks, what I said to you. I said to you that the law was signed off on August 28, 2018, right? August 28, 2018. That is when the 2015 law, the Governor General signed off on it, but it did not take effect until April 1st, 2019, right? Until April 1st, 2019. Remember those 2 dates? The Governor General signed off on it August 28, 2018, and it did not take effect until April 1st, 2019. Look what the Integrity Commission said. It is same thing. Public Sector Procurement Regulations 2008. See it right here? Hold on, and there's another part in this document where it is. But see it right here, sir. the public sector procurement regulations of what? 2008. It says it was enforced up to February 22nd, 2018. When them get February 22nd, 2018, the Governor General signed off on it on August 28th, 2018. Signed off on the 2015 law. That got rid of it, right? The 2015 law. Then you have the 2015 law. Then you have that was 2018. And then the law became effective April 1st, 2019. Them said it was enforced up to February 22nd, 2018. That's wrong. It was enforced up to April 1st, 2019. So you can see what I want. Let me show you one quick thing here. Show you one quick thing. Here we go. We showed it last week, but I mean, this is so important. We have to show it again. See that? Remember, we talk about 53.3 of the Integrity Commission Act. Now, this is at the beginning of the report. Here's the report. Right? Report of the investigation, right? And I think this is this first page. It says the publication until table in Parliament shall be confidential. And it says anything said, right here, anything said or information supplied by any persons shall be absolutely privileged, as if it was in a court of law. This is what the Integrity Commission law say, you know. Say, the information that we have to treat it privileged and secret as if we're in a court of law. Then it goes on, 56 say, section 56 say, hey, if you're a member of the Integrity Commission, are you involved in this investigation? You can't tell nobody about what going on. Them say you have to treat it right here. Seek as secret and confidential all information. You can't tell nobody and come back right here. So again, the obligation has to secrecy and confidentiality. Secrecy and confidentiality. It basically says you can't tell anybody about this thing out. Even after you're gone, even after you left the job, right? Again, here it is. You have to treat information as secret and confidential, and you can't communicate it to anybody. You can't communicate it to anybody. Now, for those of you who don't know about section 53.3, let me show you 53.3 that's the killer one. That is the killer section. Let me see. This is it. Yep, this is it. 53.3. Here we go. It is right here. It says, until you table this report in Parliament, you can't talk about it, you can't tell anybody about it, you can't show anybody anything, you can't do anything. And that's why you hear sometimes people say, oh, but how come we hear about this? Somebody leaked the information. Yeah, somebody must have leaked, because if the information is in the report and the report is submitted to Parliament, but it has not been tabled, then the information is not supposed to be out there. But we have seen instances where the information was out there, and the question is, who put that information out there? So we have section 53, we have 54, and we have 56 of the law. Just a summarized phone. And essentially what 53, 54, and 56 say is that you can't talk to nobody about it. You have to treat it as secret and confidential. If you work for the Integrity Commission and investigate it, you can't talk. Even after you left the job, after you're gone, you can't say anything to anybody. Now, let me show you something. Remember that, 53, 54, 56. And here we go. Let's go back to this investigation. Market me. Remember, a lot of people were talking, saying, how come Minister Tufton out there talk about things, about the thing? How about him talk about I said exonerate him and all of this? How that happened before it was tabled. We showed this last week, but it's important for me to show you again. Here we go. See that? This is the report, the Integrity Commission's report, and it says post-investigation actions, meaning after the investigation is over. After it's over, look at what them say. Them say, as part of the commission's policy, policy, not the law, no, as part of our policy, to do what? Share the findings and recommendations of the director of investigation, the director of investigation, with persons in respect of whom adverse findings are made, meaning that people we believe did something wrong. It's saying, as far as our policy of sharing information with people we believe to do something wrong, we invited the following persons to a meeting. There it is right there. We invited the following persons to a meeting. So them people that them feel so them do something wrong, right? Because otherwise, if they're not doing anything wrong, you not bring them in for share anything with them. So I'm saying, as part of our policy to share things with people we believe have done something wrong, we invited the following people. And who did they invite? They invited Dr. Tufton, Dunstan Bryan, Errol Green, Lindsay McDonough. Now, I don't know if Mr. Errol Green, how involved he was. I have to go back and look. Don't think he was too involved with it. Please, if he was, it would be up to the 2020 contract. But Lindsay McDonough involved with Market Me and engagement with the ministry from way back 2016. Dunstan Bryan, he was the the permanent secretary from November 2018 to August 2024. And remember, there were contracts in 2020, even some in 2018 or 19. And then Minister Tufton. And look at what they said. They said the aforementioned individuals, all of these 4 people, we gave them an opportunity to respond to our findings. See the people, and I now make it up. See it right as our findings, orally and in writing. But I thought 53, 3, 54, and 56 say you can't talk to nobody until it's tabled. And this, if you look at the heading of this, it says post-investigation actions. So somebody could say, well, post-investigation actions could include the period where it was provided to Parliament and tabled, and so now they're talking. How could that be? Because this is part of the same record that they gave to Parliament to be tabled. It wouldn't make any sense, but let's go along with that theory. Let's go along with that theory. What they did with these 4 people, they said you can respond to the findings that we're sharing with you and the recommendations orally or in writing. The 4 of them responded in writing. Look at what they said. Let's go to the first one, Mr. Dunstan Bryan, right? This is his thing right here. And I don't need to show you much of this because it's going to be crystal clear that the Integrity Commission violated sections 53, 56, and maybe even 54, but they violated their own law. Look at this. Look at what Mr. Dunstan Bryan said. Look at the top. He said, firstly, let me thank the Integrity Commission for the opportunity to share in the findings of the report before they are submitted to Parliament and made public. Me done. It's right there. Right there. He's telling us. He's telling the Integrity Commission, because this letter was sent to the Integrity Commission. See it right there? Right, so. He sent it to them. See it right here? He sent it to them. And he said, I want to thank you for sharing. Oh, better. Here's another one. It says right here, dear sirs, referencing is made to your letter dated July 1st, 2025, regarding your invitation to a meeting to do what? A meeting to do what? Here it is. To discuss the Integrity Commission's report. See it right here. On allegation of procurement irregularities and conflict of interest in the award of contract to Market Me Consulting Limited by the Ministry of Health and Wellness, and our subsequent meeting of July 10, 2025 regarding the said matter. So they wrote to him July 1st and said, come, we want to talk to you about this. And then the meeting took place July 10th. And then he said, and then he wrote to them and he said, I want to thank you for sharing the report with me before you give it to Parliament and before the public know about it. So, am I still frozen? So, just for phone, you're absolutely correct. They violated own law. And now what we have to do is we have to draft a letter now to the DPP, because as you know, under the Constitution, the DPP has the power to start a prosecution, to terminate a prosecution, or to take over a prosecution. In this case, she would be starting the prosecution. Simple. And then that's Mr. Dunstan's letter. And then we have and look, they make him write 4 pages, and I tell them, say, them investigation wrong. Who the hell does that? Who does that? Nobody not do that. You investigate somebody and say you are a wrongdoer. And I'm going to show you all of the things that have resulted from my investigation. And I'm also going to give you a chance to make your comments. What do you think them are right? You think them are right say you right? Them are right say you're wrong. And so if there's a trial, this is going to come out. Them going to bring this exculpatory statement. Them going to bring this out and say, hey, watch here. Here's a statement saying that he's not guilty of whatever they accuse him of. Foolishness. Here's a letter from Mr. Tufton's lawyer. And he said, based on the findings in the draft report as read to us. So they shared it with him. And then here's the one from Mr. Tufton's friend, and she's here talking, here it is, at which it was indicated that we were permitted to provide a response to the report. So she responded to the report. And then the gentleman down here, the permanent secretary, he said he didn't know much about it, and so he'd have to wait for the final report to come out before he made a comment. Well, the final report has been out, and we don't see no comment made by him. And here it is. Thank you for the opportunity extended to me to meet with you to discuss the findings. Come on, man. Come on. These are the things we have to, this is foolishness, people. And I found out, I went back and I started looking at a bunch of these reports, and it's something they've been doing, but nobody has been reading. Nobody has been calling them out and say, how is it that you can't talk about it? It's a gag order. But then you talk about it to the people and before you even turn it into Parliament. That makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. So now you can see what's going on here with this investigation. They said a law ended a certain time, when it went a year beyond that, they're not supposed to share findings with people. They share the findings with people. And then next week, we're going to show you, we're getting on the nitty gritty. And here's what we're going to show you next week. There is a law, there's a law that says that you really can't lie to the investigator. It's similar to what they have in the federal government that says that if you lie to an FBI agent, even though you may be charged with, let's say, bank robbery, and we go to trial and you get her from the bank robbery, if we can prove that you lied to us about something of substance in the case, you get charged and go to prison for that. You get her off of the bank robbery, the underlying charge. But the fact that you made a statement, a false statement about something that's of substance, you go prison. And there are lots of people in federal prison right now for that 1001 violation. They call it 1001 violation. I think it's USC 1001. And it says if you lie to a federal agent, prison. And just for phone, you're right. Who's the DPP? Isn't she? Yeah, but here's the thing. That is exactly what they want us to do. One is they don't want us to read the report. They want us to read and educate our people about what's going on. And then even after we have read the report, and we start talking to our people, they're hoping that we will say, well, the whole of them in the same club should not want to do anything, and so it's a waste of time. That's what they're hoping for. I am saying to you, if you don't do that, then you have no reason to complain later on. In fact, you're helping to perpetuate that kind of behavior. You must call out the wrong when you see it. Let them do whatever they have to do. That's not your business. That's not your choice. It's up to them. Your job, your choice is to advise them that there is a violation here and you need to prosecute. And also what you're doing, you're creating a record. You're creating a record that somebody complained at some time about this. So should it come up later on, they can't say, well, we didn't know, nobody complained. Also, you don't know what could happen. It says, is it illegal to share the findings with those being investigated before the tabling? It says illegal to share the findings with anyone. And I would make the argument, Larkland, that particularly people that you're investigating, why would you want to share the findings with them? Princella, I am making the argument that the Integrity Commission should be named the Commission. Take off integrity off of it. And look, folks, this is not just this one case, I can show you many cases where they refuse to prosecute someone who should have been prosecuted. I can show you many cases. I can show you where they should have prosecuted the Prime Minister before now, where they could have prosecuted him, and they didn't. I can show you things that they should have done under the law that they didn't do. I can show you where they could have gotten information from the Prime Minister and they didn't pursue that course of action. And so you have to ask yourself, why? Why? Listen, if you're a fair-minded person and you are willing to look at evidence objectively and you can render an opinion without bias, friendship, fear, or favor, I am willing to show you why I believe Minister Tufton should have been prosecuted. I can show, and I'll show you next week, where they actually said he violated the law. They said he didn't violate it directly, but a reasonable man could have interpreted that he violated it indirectly. And then they start lay out the cases, the indirect actions of him. I can show you. Well, we have 19 minutes. Kevin, I try to think if there's anything else we can show my people.
Well, there's a statement that you should address.
Which one? What's the statement?
Diane 80 says, as a fraud examiner, I don't see anything wrong with that. And I'm not sure wrong with what Diane is referring to. Not anything, you don't see anything wrong with informing those that are being investigated that they're being investigated and what they're being investigated for.
And by the way, Diane, if you're a fraud examiner, keep in mind that they weren't investigating for fraud. It wasn't for fraud. So you have to come better than that. You have to come and tell us now why you think. You have to explain it because, and it's unfair for us to really comment on what you're saying because we don't really know what you're saying. If the law says you can't talk to anyone about the investigation until it is tabled, and then you have the Integrity Commission, the investigative body, telling these people, and how do we know they tell them? Because the people write the letter. We see where they said we invited these people and we talked to them about it, and we see on the other side where the people said, yes, thank you for inviting us and thank you for sharing the findings and blah, 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 blah with us before taking it to Parliament and before giving it to the public. So you must come tell me now exactly what part of it that Rattigan wants to know if she can see the nominees on the voters form. Yeah, but that won't be open until November 20th. People, let me explain this as best as I can. You can go now and you can register to vote, but you cannot vote. What will happen if you register and your registration is good? They'll send you a token, which you will use to vote, but you can't use it until the 20th through the end of the voting period. Why? because they haven't decided yet who will be the nominees. For example, I know that they don't want me to be a nominee. I know that. So they're looking for things to
We all
disqualify.
know that.
We all know that. Yeah, it's a public secret. It's a public secret. Everybody knows that. So that they haven't come out with that yet. So once they come out with it, once because remember, it's gonna end on the 15th. The registration period ends on the 15th, and the voting starts on the 20th. So they're gonna have a 5-day period to say, okay, they're going to push it out now and say, okay, here are the candidates. So that's where we are. Don, I have a question. Is it late now for Tufton to be prosecuted? No, it's not. The DPP can step in right now and say, okay, I'm going to take a look at the evidence. And if there's sufficient evidence there to prosecute this matter, I'm going to go ahead and do it. And guess what? She wouldn't have much to do because the work has been done already. It's just that the IC Integrity Commission didn't do what it was supposed to do in terms of referring the matter for prosecution. And by the way, people, and the lady who's a fraud examiner, go read that report. Read the report first before you say you don't see anything wrong with it, and then we can talk. Because I speak from an informed position. I don't know if your comments are made from an informed position. Maybe they're made from an ignorant position. I want to say ignorant, meaning that you don't know what's in the report. So read the report, and then we can talk. I've read the report many, many times. Read it, and then we can talk. Maureen Hines said the IC must be thoroughly trained now. Yes, and they said that they've been trained, but trained to do what? Trained to do what? Because I can show you some mistakes that I don't even want to say mistakes. I can show you some things that they've done, because some people would argue that these things are not mistakes. They're deliberately done. Some people would argue that. I would just say, to be safe, that they've done some things that I find not to be in the interest of their profession. To say that you're an investigator and do the things that they did, no. But Princella, yeah, you can assume that. But what I'm saying is that Princella, still do it. You never know. Still do it. Because then if the DPP review the evidence and say, well, I find nothing here, then you have her on record. And people, let me tell you from an informed position, the laws that they're using, some of these laws are just crazy. Some of these laws, if you violate them, you know what the penalty is? $1,000 Jamaican dollars. $1,000 Jamaican dollars. So we're not serious.
The fine is what it was when they were writing on slates.
Yeah, we're not serious. And I'm telling you, at one point early on, I was very convinced that the Integrity Commission was the right way to go to deal with corruption in Jamaica. I was heartened by the fact that we had it made up of such esteemed people. Now, I'm disappointed.
Well, it looked good on paper.
It looks good only on paper. Very disappointed. First of all, the law is so flawed. There's so many issues, so many problems with it. And then they're so afraid. Because if I were there, some of the things I would take to court and have a judge render an opinion. And that way you can refine the law. You can tighten it up. Challenge it in court. Or you put it forward in court. Let them challenge it. But it's none of that. And so I am very, very disappointed. Every time I pick up an Integrity Commission report and I look at it. Another thing is talk about training. The writing is woefully inadequate and confusing. In the FBI, if this report, this one here, the one with the Prime Minister, the couple of them with the Prime Minister, I can name quite a few of them. When I was a supervisor, if one of my agents brought this into me, I would start seeking training for that agent immediately. I would lecture the agent, and not only that, after one time, I would start putting it down on the person's file review, on the comments. The report is just all over the place. Look, I had to go do a whole bunch of research, write 6 pages of notes on an 80-page document, 6 pages of written notes, not to mention type notes on it, because it's all over the place. It's just jumping up and down, mumbo jumbo. It's here, it's there, and then you have to read it with a careful eye, and then you have to deconstruct the whole report. Just pick it apart, and then you bring it together now and say, okay. So, for example, if you're looking to see what was the relationship between Minister Tufton and Miss McDonough, you're going to have to go read all over the place to find out. They don't have it in a place, and it's not sequential that you can read it on anybody. Because one of the things they teach in the FBI is this: when you write a report, you must write a report as if you're not going to be around, and somebody's going to come and pick it up and read it. And so they must be able to understand. Because you're gone, them can't find you.
Well, they adopted that same philosophy. Difference is they didn't do it for transparency and tracking. They did it to throw off.
It's sad, but that's one of the views, Kevin. And it's inescapable because you're saying, how could these bright people, well-trained people, people who are committed to the cause, that they could write something like that? People, if you don't believe me, I won't even ask you to read the 177-page one with the Prime Minister's 28 bank accounts, that statutory declaration investigate. I wouldn't even ask you to read that. Just read. This one is 80-something pages, the one with Minister Tufton. Just go read it, and then tell me if sequentially and logically it makes sense. Sequentially, logically, and investigatively. Because here's one of the things that they didn't do, Kevin. The allegation is that there's conflict of interest between Minister Tufton and this lady. And then there is a thing about how did they meet. And by the way, Minister Tufton said he was a lecturer at the University of the West Indies. Marketing. This lady is a marketing person. The question I would have asked is, she said she met him in a professional setting. He said he met her in a social setting. He met her in a running club. She said she met him in a professional setting. Then she went on to say, no relationship existed between the minister. She said, no, here's how she worded it. During the relevant period that Market Me received contracts from the government in 2016, 17, 18, 19, my relationship with the minister was on a professional level. That's what she said. She didn't say, you notice how it's worded. During this period, my relationship with him was a professional. I wouldn't ask. I would say, was your relationship with him personal? Yes or no? But here's something that them never even look at. She got contracts in 2020. So the relevant period is not 2016 to 2019. It includes, in fact, in 2020, she had 2 contracts. One on June 27th and one on July 26th. One for 1.1 million and one for 805,000. She had 2 contracts. So are we to say then that she had a relationship with him during 2020 when she got the contract? Plus, the question we have to ask is, where did she get her marketing degree? Was she a student at the University of the West Indies? And was she a student when he was teaching, or was she a member of the faculty? Was she ever on the campus, campus of the University of the West Indies? And in what capacity? Was she a student? And if she was a student, was she a student in his class? What did he teach her? These are things I need to ask. Also, one of the things I would have done, I would have said, okay, what phone number did you have during the relevant period? Chances are it's the same phone number both of them have. You know what I would have done? I would have said, okay, let's get the text messages and see what the text messages say. Second thing I would have done, Kevin, is say, okay, let's see where the phones pinged. Because guess what happened with the technology? You can tell where the phones are. And if I see the 2 phones in our house at 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 nights out of the week, them can't tell me, say, nothing never go on between them.
It's planning and planning and coordination that was going on at those hours.
Yeah, planning and coordination.
Yes.
Of what nature? A professional nature?
A professional nature?
A sexual nature? What nature? We don't know.
No, it's a professional nature.
We don't.
And we know the oldest profession in the world. But we won't say it's of that nature, but it's a professional nature.
Yeah, but these are the things that they should have done. They didn't do it. You know another thing they didn't do? They didn't look at bank accounts and follow the money. That's one of the easiest investigations. You get an auditor, a forensic auditor, and you say, okay, we now know that the money went from the government of Jamaica to Market Me in this account. Okay, now let's track the money from there and see where the money go. Did the money go from her account, from Market Me's account to the minister's account, or to somebody associated with the minister? We don't know. Why? Because they didn't do it.
Right.
They didn't follow the money. This is not an investigation.
Why follow the money when you're going to ask the people that you're investigating about? Well, you're going to let them know that you're investigating them, and you're going to give them the opportunity to respond to their investigation.
Right.
Why then do an investigation?
It's a waste of time. And the beauty about it is that technological evidence is there. Them can still go back and look at the phones and say, okay, where were these 2 phones? Because if I was conducting the investigations, these are the things I would have done.
Which is why you won't be conducting any investigations. This is why, one, you would never get a job in any capacity to investigate anyone in Jamaica.
Well, Princella said the same thing you said. Princella said, Princella says, you know, Morang, because IC is not committed to their cause based on IC. They have a friendly relationship with Tupton and the other 3 people. I mean, they wouldn't, because Kevin, and guess what, Kevin? This, what me are telling you is just basic investigation.
Well,
you know?
yes.
This is not advanced. Basic investigation. And them just screw it up. Them just screw it up. So, you know, why people, I don't know what to tell you, but except that Rattigan fight for the people. Rona, so hold on there. Rona, you go Rattigan University, we have fight for the people every day. All right. Hey, hold on. Let me talk about that too. Let me talk about her a little bit. You know, she come from a
Turn on the music. Turn on the music. Turn on the music. Turn on. Hold on, Rebel. Turn on the music. Turn on the music.
Eh?
Turn on the music so people can hear you. Turn on the music.
Yeah, you can hear me now? Oh, well.
Okay.
Yeah, her father, she comes from a well-respected family. Her father was the High Commissioner at one point to Trinidad, and he with her mother, they have 3 children, 3 daughters. She has 2 sisters, and then the father remarried. I don't know if it was a divorce or a death, but of his wife, her mother. But he remarried and they have at least another daughter. So she has at least 3 sisters, right? And here's the thing, Kevin. When you go back and you read, hey, some people, some people forgot. I saw the people move a family planning. We gear the contract for 4.9 million. Some of them people forgot prison, you know, because them come out and say, oh, she did work for the Ministry of Education, for the Office of the Prime Minister, and for the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce. And when you check, there is no public record of that. None. Google it, people. So maybe there's some secret record, but there's no public record of her working for those agencies. Then the other thing too is that them say, then the other thing too, she worked for all of them agencies there. Guess what happened, Kevin? When you go and you read everything you can read about her, you know which agency them talk about? Them talk about Ministry of Health. Ministry of Health. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
No, not them.
Yeah, if you got brag and show up and say, well, you have worked all over the place. If you got brag and show up and say, well, I've worked for all of these agencies, you'd have mentioned Office of the Prime Minister, Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, and Ministry of Education. You would mention them. Instead, when you read our background and everything, the only one mentioned is Ministry of Health. That's the one that they have the problem with. So listen, you know,
it's time.
Kevin, big up yourself. Oh, let me look back the music. People, we are work. Kevin, big up yourself. Big up yourself.